to show you how I make my suet cakes for chickens. Now, you usually buy suet cakes that are for wild birds, and they come in these little plastic containers, and they have a lot of seeds and a lot of ingredients. I'm going to show you how I make mine for chickens. We do feed the wild birds, but we also give treats to our chickens, and the price of a bag of mealworms is about $20 for about 30 ounces of mealworms. Now, you can raise your own mealworms if you want to, but it's not only is it a big operation, meaning you have to have so many trays to keep the mealworms rotating, but it also, they have an odor to them. You have to constantly be shifting them around. It's really a lot of work, which is why they charge what they do for mealworms. So sometimes I buy the fishing worms. You can even get them at Walmart, and I put those in the suet cakes as well, but this time we're not going to operate with worms today on camera. But just know that that's an ingredient that sometimes I do add in the suet cakes. You cover them. You can use these little metal tin pans. You fill them full, you cover them, and you refrigerate them so that they're firm when you put them out in the yard. And one of these, one little tin like this or something like this would feed about 20 chickens during the winter time. It helps them get the good fats on them to keep them warm. And you want to do whatever you can during the winter time, the frigid temperature time of the year, to keep your chickens warm and healthy. And this will also add nutrition to your eggs for egg production. So let's get started. The very first thing I'm going to do is most of what I'm doing is not a standard, measurement. I'm going to mix what I need to do for my suet cakes, but I'll show you how you can tell when to add and that you've added too much. So we're gonna have two different fats today. I could not find my coconut oil, but I would highly recommend coconut oil over a vegetable oil or any kind of it's a great thing to use for bacon grease, because my husband and I do fry a lot of bacon, and I always, before having this recipe, I was just stumped as what to do with it, because I don't want to necessarily ingest it straight. So making these suet cakes is really a way to use that bacon grease, and it goes right back into your eggs. So okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I like to start with a small measurement, and then I add as I move along. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with bacon grease, and I'm just using a regular mason jar full of bacon grease, and I've not boiled it, I've not processed it anyway. It's just been poured straight from the skillet. Okay, and at some point I'm going to put on gloves, because I don't really like to have all of this all over my hands. So we're going to empty the bacon grease into the bowl. Okay. And then I'm going to add some shortening, and again, I would recommend that you use coconut oil. I just do not know what I've done with mine. I'm not sure why or where it's gone. Get that piece of foil out of there. Sorry. Okay. And the next thing we're going to add is some chia seeds. Now, chia is a very high protein, okay? So just know a little goes a long way. And this is approximately a half a cup. No, it is a third of a cup. I apologize. I'm gonna add that. We're going to add a cup of oatmeal, just the quick oats. We're going to add a cup of the mealworms. I'm going to add some flaxseed. This is ground, but if you can get flaxseed whole, I would highly recommend that you do the flaxseed whole. This is the ground up version. I'm going to use about a half a cup. And then we're going to use I can't really hold this up high, but we're going to use some wild bird seed. And this bird seed is going to have sunflower seeds, corn. I'll get it in here so you can see. And I'm really not going to do a lot of measuring. I'm going to pour it in here. I'm going to grab my gloves. You could use this for ducks as well. Our ducks love mealworms, and geese love mealworms. So, and I'm just going to start mixing some of this. I just always want to make sure I get all the ingredients in here before you start mixing, because it's hard to clean your hands and stop. So, and all I'm going to do is just, you know, combine everything. If you need to add more oils, you can do that as you know, get all this mixed up. And I find this really saves a lot of money on mealworms. You know, twice a week, giving them 20 chickens a little suet cake will really help your egg production. And you really want it, like, you know, not as grainy, but you really want it to be solid, where it's going to, you know, we're going to put ours in the refrigerator. It's going to really look like a granola bar. That's what we're really wanting. A soft granola bar. And this will just be a great protein source. I would even, I've done this before, I don't have any in here, but you could add grit, the baby chick grit to this too, and that'll help process everything. And during the summertime, you can make these, pop them in the freezer, and they not only get the treat, but, you know, it helps them to cool down. So, just an idea. Okay, I am going to get as much as I can off my gloves, and then I'm going to take a spoon and I'll fill up my containers. You know, you want this to be peanut butter consistency, because if it's really loose and has too much oil, it's not going to set up right, and your chickens probably, they'll enjoy it, but they won't pick at it as much. A chicken doesn't really like wet feed on their beaks, and they'll scrape their mouths on the ground. They don't really like you know, wet feed at all. We do fermenting feed sometimes, but we strain it really well so it's this consistency. Otherwise, they really don't like it. And I just reuse these. I wash them and then reuse them. I just put them in the yard. And if you bought them at the store, you know, I say reuse your little plastic, you know, containers. It's just, you can also, you know, bacon grease is okay for wild birds too, so you could actually, you know, that could be a, you can't put it down the drain, so it's helpful to have a place, you know, that you can reuse stuff. And you can see all of the, I've got all the variety of little seeds and mealworms and corn and all kinds of things in there for them to eat. And then the rest of it, I'm going to take this aluminum pan and I can cut it. Once it gets cold, I can cut it and use, and that's 3. So I can use the rest of this and push this all down in here, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator. I'll cover it with some stuff to seal it up. Try not to touch it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator, and when we come back, we'll give them to the chickens and see how they like. I'll show you how much they like them.
Okay, we're going to try our little suet cakes with our little baby chickies. Come on, Mama. And our rooster. Let's see how much they like them. Looks like it's a winner. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video and join us next time.